All right, well, welcome to the LaRae Show. I'm your host, Alysha Ellis, and I have a very special guest with me, Manny Hall. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, thanks for joining the show. So, as you guys all know, we're here to have heart-to-heart conversations, sharing our stories and uplifting voices, and I'm excited to have this episode kicking off with what I'm calling the marketing branding guru of the city. Been killing the game, and I'm just excited to have you to share your wisdom and knowledge, expertise, and all that you have going on.
No doubt. I'm glad to be here. It's a great setup.
Absolutely. So share a little bit about, who you are, what you do for the audience.
Yeah, so I have a marketing agency. I started in 2017, and it was really birthed from this place of like, how can I grow my business without doing all the things that all the other gurus are saying to do? What's in many cases like irritated me, Alysha, because I was just like, there has to be another way to teach people how to build their business, because I kept hearing you can get rich in 30 days. You can make $1 million in 6 months. And I was just like, where, how? And it's like, just do this, follow this path. And I was like, I followed that path. Where my money at? But then what I really started to find out that it's like entrepreneurs like ourselves, we really needed to be developed into becoming that type of person that could literally attract that type of success. So it really didn't matter if you tried to follow somebody else's blueprint, watch YouTube videos. Like, I wanted to find this like secret sauce to help the average entrepreneur build something dope without them feeling that they had to compromise their integrity or do all of these other malicious, manipulative tactics to build their business.
So your focus is more personal branding. What would be like? What's your niche?
Yeah, I would say that it's more so development, because this development piece can be if you're a person coming, maybe there are areas that need to be personally developed from the inside out, but then it's also for an organization that maybe is missing the mark because they're not sending out any emails. Maybe they need to improve their process and their systems behind the scenes. Maybe they need new equipment to make themselves seem more attractive to their target market. So I started to really kind of diagnose these different areas of their business or their personal brand that needed to be enhanced to get the type of attention that they wanted. So I'll give you an example. I'll get clients who will sometimes say, well, nobody's paying attention to my social media page. And I'll say, well, what's your overall goal? And they'll say, well, to get clients. It's like, well, do you need social media to get clients? And they'll say, well, yeah, that's what everyone says you got to do. And I'm like, but you don't need it. So how about we identify some other ways? So I've had clients with 500 followers on Instagram, but they grow a 2,000 subscriber list on YouTube or through their email list. And now they're making way more money than all the people that got 75,000 followers. Because like wherever you put your attention is where you put your energy. So it's like if my focus is on growing a following, getting more views for my reels, then that's where my energy is going to go. But if I'm really focused on building a business to get the type of clients and customers to pay me, then that's where the success is going to lie.
Yeah, so that development is critical, especially because if you don't know, then you'll throw money at ads and you're trying to, you don't really know. And that's another piece. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, small business owners get into it not really understand who their client is.
Yeah, facts.
And understanding like also who their competitors are, because that's how you learn your client even more. Is like where are they going? Oh, yeah. How are they shopping? How are they, patronizing other venues or other businesses? And so that time we like to skip. Especially the younger, like our generation is skipping through and then expecting in 3 weeks to hit $1 million.
Yeah.
You haven't made more than $35,000 a year, but you're gonna hit $1 million in 3 weeks.
And then won't even trip at their job for giving them 2 raises in 3 years that only accumulated $5,000. And you worked your butt off for that $5,000. And you're like, I just got a raise for $5,000. Like, but you got to divide that up and take the taxes out. So you really didn't get much. Versus this entrepreneur saying, let me figure out some ways and strategies to make myself more attractive towards the people that I'm trying to serve. But you hit it on the nose. If we don't know who it is that target market is, then you literally trying to talk to everybody and nobody's listening.
Yeah. And I think that's like, I heard a good friend of mine, I had him on the show last year, and he's a barber. And when he started cutting hair like more professionally and growing his shop, he was like, everyone who has hair is my client. And it was just like, no, everyone who has hair is not my client. You have to like narrow it down so you can better understand who's your ideal client. And then it goes out beyond that, right?
Yeah.
You have people who might not fit in that category, but still becomes your client.
Yeah, for sure.
So like, what would you say, what's the number one thing you feel like entrepreneurs get wrong in marketing and branding off the gate?
I think that part of it is definitely identifying who the target market is. So then you kind of like have this vision of where you want the business to go, but like just trying different strategies. It's like I liken that into throwing darts in the air and you hoping something sticks, and it's just like it's not going to work. So I always tell clients to first develop what's called a brand strategy. And these different components inside your brand strategy is going to be things like, what colors am I using? Who's my target market? Where am I going to present my product and services to? What social media channels am I using? Am I using email marketing? How much? Am I going to live events? How am I using a sales strategies in order to bring more business to me? But the biggest part of that is also like your brand promise. Like you see FedEx, they have a brand promise like guaranteed overnight. Now I know for sure, Alysha, they have not gave everybody their package overnight, but this is something that they can stand on because they know consistently they do it. I think that most entrepreneurs don't even realize like what promise am I going to give to you? And like mine is, I'm gonna help you develop. You might not like the way it feels going into it, how this process is gonna be. Like some clients will say, oh Manny, like I know you suggested some books, but like I read some books before, so I'm good now. And I say, but when's the last time you read a book? It was like 2 years ago. Like that Think and Grow Rich, I read that before. Like, did you grow and develop and change? Like, yeah, I'm a better person. Well, I guarantee that if you read it now, it's going to hit different. But it's like most people don't really want to develop who they are, who they need to be in order to get to that next level. So it's like you'll see highly successful people making $1 million. And the question is not, hey, man, can you show me how to get there and what you did to get there? It's like, can you show me how to get the $1 million? And they can't because the secret sauce is that person became the type of person that could receive $1 million. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like the whole like, about the whole fishing thing. Like teach a man how to fish. You know, and I struggle with this in some areas because it's like certain things like I can have a knowledge of, but I don't want to do. You know, that's why you outsource. People and other services. For example, working on a website. I have a guy I work with, and I'm like, I don't want to learn the back end of this. Like, I want to hire someone who's going to manage this website, and if I have to go in there, it could just sit there. Like, it's not an emergency. It's a website. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's certain things entrepreneurs early on, you have to figure it all out. That's why, like, my first website was a template website, so I didn't need to know how to copy code, do none of that, right? And I just plugged and play. But now, as you evolve, it's like, okay, I want something is different, right? That sets apart from other platforms, other podcasts, etc. So you grow, but you have to start somewhere. And most of the times, you're wearing all of the hats. And that's how a lot of the stories I hear. I don't know if you have different experiences.
No, and I think that's a good point. Like, I think that for me, early on, I had to bootstrap certain things. But now looking back, I didn't have to bootstrap stuff. I just was missing information because, like, if someone would have told me I could use websites like Upwork, Fiverr to hire out certain help, then I would have did that a long time ago. But what stood in my way of doing that early on was, I ain't got the money to do that. Like, I only make this amount of money and my business isn't bringing this. Like, but what about all the money that you're making from your job that you spending weekends spending money on dumb stuff? Could you create $100 budget for a virtual assistant to handle some like ancillary tasks that maybe you don't feel like doing? That could be at least a start. And I did that early on, and it was transformative to my business because now I had my time back. And with my time back, I was able to be more of a visionary and look further down the road and say, okay, where is it that I really want to see this company go versus like this standard goal of, oh man, if I can make $2,000 a month for my business, I'm rich. But I was so excited about that. And then once I realized me being a full-time entrepreneur, $2,000 wasn't even covering half of my expenses. So the goal had to increase. So I started looking at other people that were much more successful. And I was like, man, what what are they doing? I was like, oh, they got different habits. They be going to work out. They be drinking their water. And my role, like we were talking about before the show, being vegan, it wasn't necessarily because this was a part of my brand image, but more so it was like a health concern. Like I was very anxious. I had all this stress inside my body, and it was causing this thing called neuropathy, which is nerve damage. So like I was in pain in my hands and my feet majority of the time doing business because I couldn't detach from being anxious as a business owner. So it's like when I finally started getting some help, people started doing some of these tasks for me, then I spent much more time in meditation and prayer and was just like, I got to get a chance to know me. I got to find a way to relax and chill and be calm. Now I promise you, business comes to me so much more easily because I'm more attractive to that thing that I was going after. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right? You have that the law of attraction, right?
When I was anxious, I was attracting anxious clients. So they would be like, hey, Manny, can you make me $1 million tomorrow? I was like, I think I could try. I'm putting all this extra pressure and stress upon myself, and my body was just like, come on, bruh. Stop doing this to me.
Yeah, I love that. And one thing, our episode last week was around like discovering wholeness, healing, self-healing, had a health and lifestyle coach on with us. And all of that is critical into your lifestyle because this is for me. I can't speak for everybody else. But like as an entrepreneur and what I'm doing right now and how things are scaling, first of all, I can't separate my entrepreneurial life and my personal life.
Facts.
And now I don't want to. It's one lifestyle. Yeah. So how does it work together? How do I incorporate my mindfulness, my meditation, my eating, my exercise, all into my deep breathing, doing my my consulting is all one motion. It's in harmony. And once I started to be more practical about it and stop trying to like, oh, put this hat on today and I put this hat on tomorrow. Say, no, this is who I am and showing up as me and being a stronger me. Yeah. Be able to perform at a higher quality consistently. Yeah. And knowing like, okay, when I need a break. Like in a break nowadays, like when I go and, go to the beach, I don't look at it as vacation. That's part of, for me to be able to perform up here, I need to explore these other avenues of my life so I can be more sustainable.
Facts.
And it's not a separation like, vacation once a year, 4 times. No, it's not a vacation. This is part of my lifestyle.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that like from a lifestyle brand perspective, which I really push a lot of my clients to more so create a lifestyle brand versus like you on Instagram trying to sell something. Like we talked about this before, like Instagram's become like a swap meet. Yeah. Where it's just like every single person is trying to sell something. And they get so mad and wonder why they're not getting any sales. It's like, I came to your page because this is social media. I'm trying to be social with you. Show me some of the stuff that you're into. Like, you got to be a real person. You got to do something other than you're a photographer, you're a videographer, you're a coach. Like, what else do you do? Like,
and you had made a comment to me recently, like, I love, like, your page is like, it's more free. Like, and I was like, I didn't really notice that. But like from your eyesight and seeing that. So like, what does that mean? Because I feel like that goes into what you were just describing, showing more of who you are in the lifestyle versus just like this one discipline.
Yeah, because from a sales perspective, it leans back to this point of like know, like, and trust. And statistically proven, it says that on average, people need to see your advertisement, your product, your email at least 7 times on average before they buy. Now, it might be 3 times, might be 5 times sometimes, but if I don't like you, I'm not buying from you. Right. And people keep thinking like, well, they don't have to like me. My product is good, but I can't get past you. I don't like you. You suck. I don't think you're a good person, whatever the case. Like, I can't get past that. And then if I like you, but I don't feel like I trust you enough to spend my money with, then I'm still not doing it. And even though you might have a real big name, like there's been people that I've met in the past 6-7 months that's like, hey, you need to work with such and such, like they dope, like they gonna be y'all gonna be vibing together. And I'm just like, all right, let's give it a try. And then I'm like, just don't like you. Like I thought that I would have liked you because the person that introduced me to you, I like them. Right. But it made me think about like back in high school, like you'll have a friend that you like, hey, I'm about to invite Sarah over too. Like that's my homie. You ain't met her yet. Sarah suck. You like, Me and Sarah ain't never gonna be friends. I'm glad y'all friends, but it ain't gonna work. And so I've really been learning like over time to diagnose the situation, really like know who's in the room, know what opportunities are there for me, and then work with those. But it's all coming back to, do they like Manny? So like my point about your page, you become way more likable.
Well, thank you.
For sure. For sure. Like you got good energy on your page, and it's not, when people are only posting about their services, their business, it comes off as like this stuffy page.
Right.
And then I'll hear clients say, oh, well, I want to separate my business from my personal. So like I got this business page, but ain't nobody paying attention to my business page, like because it ain't got no personality to it. So I'm coming to your business page and you trying to sell me stuff, and you done created 50 images from Canva, all of these unique, pretty pictures you spent hours creating. Listen, Alysha, like my mentor is really teaching me how to work way less but be much more strategic. Because like working hard is not, it used to be glorified back in the day.
But
Like
no.
it sucks now. Like why am I working
talk about
hard?
lifestyle, because then I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Like I'm not enjoying. If I'm gonna be miserable, why not just stay with a job that's less stressful?
Facts.
Right, I'll collect the
Facts.
check, go home,
Facts.
clock in, clock out. And I've thought about that, but like, feel like you, as an entrepreneur, I think you can really talk to this about the scalability of where you're at now. Like, there's probably a solid 3, 4, 5 years that you were working really, really hard to get to this point, right? And they always say that breakthrough for an entrepreneur or small business owner is at year 5. You can make it to year 5. You're positioned now to really, really scale and have a larger impact.
I love
and
it.
Sustainability. So
That's confirmation for me because I'm at year 5 right now.
good.
Like, so I started in 2017, and I brag about this. Like that first year and a half, I didn't get no sales, and I was still working a full-time job. And I was so thankful to not get any sales because it taught me to learn my own voice, to be the type of entrepreneur, business owner that I wanted to be. So although we have a marketing agency that does all these amazing things like websites, SEO, graphic design, social media posts for people, but like me as a business owner, attached from that, I focus on brand development. And this is my sweet spot. This is what I always wanted to do. But I was working a lot harder because I was trying to fit the mold and character of what the average marketing agency did. Yeah. I told clients early on, I said, we're not running any ads for you. It was like, well, why not? Like, this is how I could get some sales. I was like, yeah, but you can get a few people to buy. But if nobody likes you, your company is never going to grow. And this is why I'm really focusing heavy on this aspect of like brand development, identifying what's missing within the brand, what could be improved. So then naturally, if you start showing up in a different way, you don't have to work as hard. Right. You don't have to be making a million posts. I used to tell clients, make a post a couple times a day, because more posts, then you're going to get more attention. But if it's a crappy post and crappy content, they just seeing a whole bunch of crap. Right. But it's like now you can scale back to 3 posts a week. Yep. Sometimes just 2. And these posts don't have to be in a way that's going to grab their attention to buy it, but it should be more so like you're doing, grabbing their attention to become familiar with the person that they like, and then transitioning from this place of like to love. Because when they fall in love with your brand, and that's all over. They're making buying decisions. They don't even know what they just did. Why am I buying from her? Oh, I like her so much.
Why am I on her page again? And with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back with the LaRae Show. Thank you.
Hey, if I was going to work, I wanted to look a little something like this. Pro3 Entertainment is Northeast Ohio's premier podcast provider, offering all the services you need to get your show off the ground. Reach out to us today at contactpro3ent@gmail.com.
Welcome back to LaRae Show. Again, we have Manny Hall in the building with us, and I want to talk about what drew me to you, right? And I think it's vice versa, and we've talked about this offline as well. But what drew me to you was one, the professionalism that I saw from your page and your outreach 2 was your content, and specifically like leading with God in your content, in your business. And that's what's like, that sparked with me, because I believe I do the same thing.
Gotcha.
And there's not many people who do that, and it's like not heavy, very on the religious, like all the way left with this. It's like I can't listen, you know. But it's like it's engraved in it, and it's obviously providing fruit for your business, for your clients. So I wanted to talk about like what does that mean for you? How did you get to that point? Because I know it takes boldness, right? Because you're, you know, every client it's not going to come to you just because of that reason.
Right.
So walk us through what that transition was for you to lead with God in your business and in your content.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I would say, especially from the beginning, I was very scared and nervous to do this. And I kept feeling like this prick. Every time I prayed, every time I was in meditation, it's like, you don't like me, huh? It's like, I do like you. It's like, why you don't be talking about me? Like, you the homie, I promise, but they don't be wanting to hear about you. Like, I ain't gonna get no business like that. He was like, trust me. I was like, I do, but not in this business realm. I can't. Matter of fact, you don't even know nothing about business for real. And then he started teaching me, like, I'm gonna put you on game about a lot of stuff that you don't know. So I started to incorporate it inside of my content in such a way that it wasn't abrasive, to your point, but it was just like, okay, I can tell he is a believer. And then out of nowhere, and I might be off with this number, but I think it's like close to like 95% of my clients are somewhat like me, that they are a believer. Maybe they don't go to church all the time. Maybe they don't have a bunch of scriptures posted on their page all the time, but it's like they really do love God, and they got this passion that really allows them to use that character and integrity to get opportunities versus the opposite. Because to my point earlier, it's like there were a lot of opportunities that I was getting, but it didn't make me feel good about them. Like I was like, and this is a biggest opportunity I've ever had, but these people, they kind of like scoundrels, like, right? Like just on some real shady type stuff. Like they gonna pay me the money, but they're getting it from here. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to be even associated with this grimy type stuff. Yeah. But then I start seeing that it was a bunch of imperfect business owners that were coming to me. They reminded me of me. So it's like I started to see that, oh, y'all like me because just like I'm imperfect, y'all imperfect, and y'all know that I'm not putting any pressure on you to be this magical Christian believer. Like you could really like vibe how you want to vibe. Some might cuss, some might drink, some might smoke, but you're still on the road to becoming better. I didn't want to deal with people that didn't want to be better though. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So like on my page more specifically, I decided to be much more courageous in terms of like the way that I presented business in a way that made me feel comfortable in that piece. And I ain't gonna lie to you, my page took a hit. Likes went down, views went down, but the money kept going up. Wow. So I was just like, which one do I want? You know what I'm saying? Because like, y'all not showing me no love, but obviously somebody's seeing my stuff because y'all keep paying me money. So I just really leaned into being more comfortable, but I ain't gonna lie to you, still to this day, it's a little bit of a fight. Because like I'll look at my views like, I'm killing it. Like that video was dope. Like y'all don't like that? Right. And then I see somebody else with some like whack content. I'm like, and they got 5,000 views and all this stuff, but it's just like the few people that are seeing my content, they connect with it such a way that opportunities just keep coming to me. It's like I'm constantly receiving emails from people I don't even know. Or they're like, hey, I'm a part of this organization. I heard about you. I want you to bring you over here and do this. And we can only pay you $500. We can only pay you $1,000. I'm like, this people about to pay me $1,000 just to speak for 1 hour? I'm like, geez. Those opportunities didn't come when I was trying to be somebody else.
Man, that's real. And it's just like that trust part of, trust me, I got you. I've given it to you so I can blow it up. Yeah. And it's like we try to hold on, and it's that being like, well, you know, maybe people won't, I lose this. So you're trying to compromise what God has already put on you and in you to move through because of what people's gonna think.
Yeah.
When there's a whole group of people you ain't even met yet that's waiting on you to open your mouth and say what God's already, predestined for your life. And I think that part of that, and why I even wanted to grow more with you and like let's explore, let's see what we can do together, is like because there's not many people in our age range who's growing business, scaling business, and walking in purpose at the same time, and likable.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, well, I vibe. Like, I can understand that, how challenging, because I was challenged with that. And even my first business I produced, it's like, how much do you give? But knowing, like, this is why I'm here. So I can't give just a piece of me. I have to give all of it, the whole story. And that's why I even shifted to the LaRae show.
Gotcha.
Because I'm like, this is this is like all of it. It's not just one side business or social impact. No, we're going to talk about God. We're going to talk about lifestyle, culture, business, social impact, because that's all of who I am. Yeah. And that's all about what the platform is all about, So I can really value that and respect that and just say thank you for walking in that, because I believe it is a light and it is contagious. And the more we talk, the more that we share, and the more that we connect, the more it empowers a generation to say, wow, I don't have to be embarrassed by something that provides freedom. Like, how absurd does that sound? Like, I am experiencing freedom for the first time ever in my life, generationally, and I'm embarrassed to talk about how I got here.
That's deep. I think I might steal this.
Yeah.
What you're saying, but it's just
there's
like,
no stealing, because we're connected. So what mine is yours.
It's dope what you're saying, because it's like you got this freedom, but you're like, I don't want to be free. Like, and you got the freedom, but you're like, I'm gonna display to y'all a person that's bound, because I'm afraid that if I show you that I'm free, you're not gonna like my freedom. Right. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs are experiencing. But I think that in terms of like building our brand, we gotta like continuously operate in that freedom, realizing that you are going to come across a lot of people that aren't gonna like you. No. And they're not gonna like you even more because you have these particular values and norms about yourself, and that's okay. And we had this discussion before too about the word reject, and I didn't like to be rejected. It felt horrible inside. I wanted to get everybody to like me, but it created like this weird complex of me being a business owner that was like becoming like this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde to every single person that I met. Like, okay, I wonder what they want to see. I'm this Manny now. I'm kind of laid back on this one. You probably want this one. Then I was like, no, Manny, you goofy sometimes. You get serious sometimes. You might get deep sometimes. You love the Lord. You got a wife. You got kids. Like, this is who you are. Be free in that. Yeah. And there's these other aspects of me that I always wanted to hide, because I felt like if I showed them this, then they wouldn't want to spend no money with me. I start talking about all of these different things, and those were the connections that people came to me for. Like, Manny, when you said that one thing, like, I was like, man, I need to hire you. It's like, wait a minute, because I posted a picture of my kid, that made you compelled to hire me, spend money? Yeah, because I got this connection with you. But that freedom piece is very, very difficult for people to tap into, because it comes with so much rejection. But reject simply means not to one's taste. Yeah. So I'm not going to be everyone's taste. Just like caramel popcorn is not everybody's taste. Right. Yeah. Like, some people just don't like it. Yeah. But other people go crazy about it.
And same with like, I also have struggled with rejection and still processing through that. But what I'm realizing is like what we, in our viewpoint, deem to be rejection, has been God's protection. And that has helped me in so many areas, because you want to hold on to relationships, you want to hold on to situations or jobs or whatever. And it's just like, no, I got something else for you. Yep. So in that freedom, I think you made a good point. Like, people are afraid to really be free because you're letting go of the control. Once you let go of control, now you're really living in the unknown until you're mature enough to start to see what's coming. And that part there,
that's dope.
And it's real because it's like God, you hear like, oh, God will give you as much as you can handle, as much as you can bear, but the bearing is on us. So I've been really like, I want more. So praying for the increase in the more, well, that is going to require more practice, more discipline, waking up earlier, going to bed, protecting your environment, your mind, your spirit, etc. But that work, right? I say all the time, like, we live in a microwavable generation. We just want it real quick. We don't want to preheat the oven anymore. We don't want to wait. And it tastes so much. That's the thing, is that we've compromised so much with the microwave that we all know it tastes better on the stove top or inside the oven.
You know what's crazy? Probably about 2.5 years ago, we got rid of our microwave. So we don't even have a microwave. One. We have guests come over and like, all right, where's the microwave? Like, we literally be having to use like those little hot plate things in order to serve the food. And we use an air fryer as well as a stove. But it's major what you just said, because I think that this has also allowed me to be a little bit more still, just be in that present moment and just like relax. Yes. Because it's so much peace in like you going through this waiting period and not feeling the need to rush and figure everything out. Because that's part of that microwave. It's like you put it in there and it don't even taste the same.
And you know what to
certain
expect.
Parts ain't done, and it's like,
yeah. So in that, I'm curious of what your, like, everyone is defining purpose kind of in their own unique way. Like, how do you define purpose for yourself and for your brand?
That's a good question. I've been toying with that question in my mind for like 3 or 4 years, because I used to say that purpose was like this thing that I'm going after, like this is my passion. But then reading and studying, really finding out that purpose is like my kids, my wife, my desires for the future. Like, this is what I'm pursuing, so that's my purpose. But I almost feel like people have to define their purpose in this like still place that, you know, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and this is why I'm doing it. I would really define it as like that why you're doing the business, why you're developing this brand. And then when you find out that answer, Alysha, it causes you to be very intentional for what you're doing. Because if you figure out, oh, so I'm growing my social media page to get more followers, and I want more followers because I want to be liked more because I struggle with rejection and I ain't feel like people like me growing up. So these more followers make me feel like I'm somebody. In most cases, that had nothing to do with you building your business at all. Right. This is literally like
the personal stuff, though, that has to get dealt with.
It has to be dealt with. So I really believe that it's like that purpose is like that why. Why am I getting up in the morning? Why am I doing this particular thing?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think what I'm finding out, too, is like purposes.
Yeah.
Like, we're evolving.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
We're finding more. We're discovering. We're all exploring.
Yeah.
You know, so I always thought purpose is just like that one thing. Well, man, I'm just gonna be the best writer all time. That's that's my life. For the best musician of all time. Like, you know, and for each his own. But we're created to create.
Absolutely.
Like, from the ultimate creator, who, you know, butterflies and grass and the sun. Like, so one thing, I just gotta pick one thing, and that was the challenging thing for me going to college. Was like, what? One thing? That's what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. So I've been seeing, like, I have multiple purposes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know, multiple purposes and multiple avenues of creativity, and I'm hoping that's like for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be 80, like, I'm painting now. Like, I'm just in the back of the house, painting and sculpting. Who knows?
That's dope. And I think that we all should have that freedom, like, not to just do one thing. And that's something that the viewers can really take note of, is like, you have these different purposes. So if you dope in the kitchen, even though you're a photographer, share you like cooking food, because this is going to make people like you more about the food. And then with that relatability factor, now I want to hire you as my photographer because we were just vibing about you cooking food. Like if you enjoy being a father or a mom or you're a stay-at-home person, like include these other aspects of your life. And some stuff is like off limits, so you don't want to share everything. But I think that if you can evolve as a human being, it makes people like you more. Now we got to be careful with that though, because there's so many serial entrepreneurs. And
yeah, I've heard you talk about this.
And I try not to be mean to those serial entrepreneurs because I get their point. Like they very creative, they try a lot of different things, but in most cases, it's these individuals that tried one business for 6 months to a year and it didn't work. Right. So then they try something new, like, oh, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Like, are you really?
Yeah.
Because like I would highly suggest, especially as you're putting yourself out in the marketplace, to master one or two things. Yep. Because then, like a Will Smith, who started off as a rapper, and I don't think he was one of the best rappers, but he made a whole lot of money. Yep. Then he transitioned into acting. Then he transitioned into being more philanthropic. But I think that it's like these different aspects of your purpose that you have to be able to explore.
Yeah, I always say like that with Diddy.
Like, yeah.
You know, and then it was just like you need a path, right? Especially when you are coming from like generational poverty or you know anything that's generational trauma. And you're the first one in your family, go to school, have a business, anything like that. Yeah, it's like it's even harder to narrow in and be like, even if it takes me 10 years, I'm gonna produce the best songs ever. Yeah. And then once I break through, I'm gonna bring out that fashion line, and I'm gonna get into the liquor and all of these other things that represent part of who I am. Yep. And like that serial entrepreneur piece it's funny because a lot of times we don't really think about how you sustain things at the same time. Yep. You know, across the sector. So a lot of good gems. I want to play this game with you, which is I say one word and you give me the first word that comes to mind. Okay. All right. You ready?
Ready.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
All right. We got love.
Protection.
Purpose.
Vision.
Pizza.
Eating.
Shopping.
No.
LaRae.
Dope.
That's it.
Okay.
You want to run it back and see you give me the same words?
Maybe. We can do it.
I'm going to say, what was the words I asked? Okay, love.
Protection.
Pizza.
Love.
Shopping.
No.
LaRae.
Dope.
Okay, I think you got 2 out of the 4 or 5. Yep. So I wanted to kind of wrap up with, you know, what is some advice that you can give to entrepreneurs, maybe someone even in between that faith and that purpose? Like, how do I share that in my lifestyle brand?
Yep. I would say to focus on the BTB method. And the BTB method is a framework I created a few years ago. And it's bringing value, telling your story, building relationships. And what I found of like doing webinars, doing conferences, I've had people come to me and say, Manny, I did that BTB method and my business exploded. And I thank you so much. I'm like, you didn't even become a client. I should have charged you for that. Like, it's like they made a ton of money from that. So I think that with them bringing value on a consistent basis, so no matter who you meet, like being nice, being kind, figuring out how I could give to this person in some way, shape, or capacity is always going to be beneficial. But then being able to tell your story, and this is not like a testimonial, but it's just like who it is that you are and how you're helping the world in some capacity. Because when people know that, then they have an opportunity to hire you or to refer you to other people. But then it's building relationships, which is my favorite. Like, you gotta be building relationships. A lot of successful people don't know how to build relationships, and that's why they stay stuck. So it's like, it's this art and technique of like meeting people, but then also cultivating those relationships and not just allowing it to stay in that I started a relationship, but they didn't follow up me. Like, you really got to build and cultivate. And I think that if we can apply that BTB method of bringing value, telling your story, building relationships on a consistent basis, you're going to be dynamic this year.
Absolutely. The difference, I always talk about this, the difference of relationship building and networking.
Yes.
For so long, it's pounding our head, network, and you're wondering, like, damn, I did 50 coffees with people, and I'm not feeling no value on any of these relationships.
Yep.
So that's not a relationship.
Yep.
You're meeting someone for the first time, and you have to grow that and understand what you can give and what you can gain from these relationships. So I 100% agree with you on that. And that's really how I even am where I'm at right now, is all through relationships.
Nice.
And genuine. Like,
Yep.
I just now started asking for stuff. Like, 7 years in it, and I'm just like, okay, I came to your board meetings. I spoke for free. Like, I never asked for anything. Now I'm coming around when I maybe looking for a sponsorship for something, or looking for someone to speak at my event. And now you're starting to see, okay, I'm well, someone would say cashing in on all of those asks and all the things that you've done, and on good credit. Say, you know what, I'm gonna receive some of what I've given out. Right. And I think that's important when you think about relationships. A lot of times people go into it and they're just like, well, Manny, I need this, I need that, I need Manny. And it's not, they're like, well, what can I do for you? Now, because now we're not talking about we're talking about business.
Yep.
So there's a difference, and some people try to take advantage of what you're willing to do out of goodwill, right? As you're growing a relationship versus taken advantage of.
Exactly.
And then you have to start to
you got to cut it off.
Draw those lines.
Yeah, and I'll say that I learned a lot of strategy techniques from Robert Greene. Okay. So in a book called 33 Strategies of War. And he talks about that same point of, like, when you're in a relationship with somebody, find out ways that you can give where the focus is really on that person, not necessarily about you. Right. Because their perception is, wow, they really are concerned about me, so let me find a way to give back to them in some way, shape, or capacity, because I don't want to seem like the person is just only being egotistical. It's only about me. So I've learned to be in rooms and really talk about that person that I'm talking to. If there's other distractions around, even very noticeable distractions, right, I'll tune those out and focus on that person. Even if they're looking at those other things, I'm only focused on you. Yeah. Most people have never felt something like that, so they're more attracted to me simply because I show interest in them.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, I usually try to end the episode with a pure message. Okay. That's what the platform is all about, LaRae, a pure message for our generation. So when I was thinking about today, earlier this week, I had did a post around this specifically talking about, like, don't be in a hurry to get to where you're going, right? And in that is, don't compare yourself to what's around you. Like, we all have our own individual fingerprint for a reason. And I wanted to share that here because I feel like that's something that resonates and that I see reflected in who you are. So it's like, I'm on my path. Like, what's mine is for me.
Facts. And
I can't go over here grabbing off of your table trying to get over here and worried about what someone saw. It's like, no, what's for me is for me. And that's the pure message. So I want to see if you have any tokens to add to that.
Yeah, like, ultimately, I used to be in this very competitive place where I felt that anybody else that did marketing or branding, like, I was competing with them. But I started to realize that they can't compete with me because they're not me and I'm not them. So there's certain things that was put inside of me way before I even existed that equipped me to serve a certain type of people. Those type of people that I'm serving, they can't serve because they only want what I got. Does that make sense? Yes. It's like, so really being able to tap into our own superpower to know that your time is coming as you stay diligent to what you are attempting to do. But you end up hindering the process when you get distracted by competition and somebody being able to take, like, we look at this pie, it's not that there's extra pieces for everybody. It's like you literally got your own pie. Right. This is your whole thing. This is all yours. You can put what kind of seasoning stuff on it. You want some caramel popcorn, you can put on it, like whatever you want to do. But I think that there's freedom in being tapped into who you are. Yep. Then it's like that waiting process doesn't even seem like you're waiting because you're doing other things while the time is passing. Like, while my business was growing before, like I even hit 6 figures in 2020, I was just like, hey, what should I be doing? Because I just feel like they're not coming in. I ain't talking to nobody. I just went out there and helped. To date, I probably talked to over 500 business owners.
Wow.
Because I was putting in the work. I wanted to get better in this space, and I wanted to show them that I was helping them. And I would say, like, of that 500 of me just starting off with a give, probably 25 to 30% actually signed up to be clients. And those referrals just kept coming. That's it.
I love it. So thank you again for joining the show.
Thank you.
It's been a blessing. I'm looking forward to working with you. I know we got some things cooking up.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to bring you back on it as those things develop. But I want to give you a chance to say any last words that you want to share on the show.
Yep, absolutely. I want to say that you're dope, you're brilliant, you're absolutely amazing. If you allow any limitations to stop you, it's on you. Nobody else can stop you but you.
That's it. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. You're tuned into the LaRae Show, where we help share, connect, and inspire through storytelling and uplifting voices. This show is specifically focused on heart-to-heart conversations around sharing our stories on entrepreneurship, social impact, lifestyle, and culture. And so today we got a mixed version of all of those. And I'm excited to have you guys back next week. So never miss a beat. Stay mic'd up with LaRae. We're signing off. Peace.